17th, 2020 to order. I don't think we have any new members since last time. So we'll go to does everyone have their copy of the minutes? If you've got a copy of the minutes, somebody can move that we approve the minutes from our February 20th meeting.
I'll go to approve them.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And I should point out that Dave is acting as secretary tonight. We haven't gotten the bank statement straightened out yet, so we're working on that. So you're all right, Daniel.
Okay.
And the history of Friendship City, since we don't have our other new person, we'll take that up at our next meeting. So it brings us to our old business. Yeah, we don't have that this time. We'll get it. So Logan, have you seen the new t-shirts?
I have not.
Oh, okay.
How are they?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, no. I sent the files and everything, oh gosh, well, whatever, months ago, right, over to Amy, and I haven't heard anything since there about whether they've been printed or it's all done or where they sit right now. So as far as I knew, we were good and everything was done, but I don't know if they've actually been printed or finalized yet. I haven't heard from Amy.
Yeah, you don't know either, Paul, do you?
You know, I don't. I think I can easily ask Amy. She's out of town through the weekend, but I can check in with her on Monday where that's at. I'm sure she'll know. I think the last meeting we had was that February 1, and we were going to do it, and then right before the March meeting, everything came to a halt.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing, I'm not sure where they're at. So I'll check with her about that.
Well, and if they are done, if you can at least get one that you can hold up at the next meeting.
Sure.
So we can kind of.
So you can see how they look.
Yeah. Very good. All right, the next item is the sculpture update. Ambassador?
Yeah, I don't know how familiar all of you are with the Sophia statue that was dedicated a couple of years ago. And it needed a replacement statue because of some deterioration on it. And so the replacement went in also some time ago. And the decision, there was a lot of research into where the former statue could go, and the commission eventually came to the conclusion it should be offered to the family of the two sisters who posed for it. And part of the reason was there was a problem with the material, and so it would not survive a Minnesota winter. So that eliminated any outdoor reinstallment. And we did quite a bit of investigating and didn't really. The father came back about a month later, and he picked up the sculpture from the place in St. Paul that had done some repair work on the sculpture that would make it look more complete, and it would survive a Texas winter. So it's now back in Texas. They sent me a picture within an hour of when it arrived at their house. And they were still exploring where they were going to install it. And they had gotten all the information they needed from the place in St. Paul to know exactly what to do and so on. But they sent me a couple pictures that showed it in a couple different positions around their property. And I've been there a couple times, and they've got a lot of great choices. And I haven't heard yet if they have officially installed it, but they're all really excited about it. And especially, one of the many reasons is the whole family has seen it up here. But other than pictures, their friends and neighbors and relatives who visit from Costa Rica have only seen pictures of it. So I think they're quite thrilled to have it.
Well, and so that item on our agenda is finally can be removed. We've had that on there for a long time. The next item is the Heredia room, and because of the pandemic, we haven't pushed that issue, so that's still on there. And the next one is our Costa Rica trip, and our ambassador will enlighten us where we're at with that.
You know, our original plan was to coming February 20, and Costa Rica has opened up a little bit, but not to include visitors from all over the world. They've limited the entrance to people from certain countries in Europe and from just 8 to 10 states in the US, and Minnesota is not among them. So we've decided to postpone the trip until 21. And obviously I'll have to change the flights and the hotel reservations and so on, but that's all doable. You can't book a flight unless they've changed the rules. You can't book a flight more than 11 months in advance. So I can't even confirm the dates until this coming April. So other than that, and I need to change a couple of lodge orientations and make sure our driver is still available. I think he's on the verge of retiring, which makes me a little nervous because we've had the same driver forever, and he's absolutely wonderful. So there'll be details to work out, but I think it's going to fall back into place and be just fine. Just a little delay.
Any questions about the upcoming tour?
What were the dates? The new dates?
Well, I can't confirm the flights
Okay.
until this coming April. But in
Gotcha.
general,
Okay.
we fly down the end of February and come back mid-March, which is
Okay.
a nice time to be traveling out of Minnesota.
That's
And
true.
it is kind of peak time for a lot of the flowers and so on. And the other thing that I have enjoyed many, many, many times over is the National Ox Cart Parade. And the painted ox cart is kind of the folk symbol of Costa Rica. And every year, the second Sunday in March is the National Ox Cart Parade. It's great. It lasts about an hour and a half, but if you go early, there's always a lot of food booths and interesting things, and there's dancers and musicians and it's easy to pass some time there. And then the parade itself is about an hour and a half, and all with oxen pulling painted ox carts. But there's usually intermixed with some folk dancing and so on. So I've always liked to include that as part of the tour. And that's second Sunday of March, so that helps determine the actual dates we'll go for.
Any other questions about the tour? Then we'll move into our items of new business. Paul, you want to lead us on the bylaw one?
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. Hold on one
Yeah, so if you can lead us on the bylaw changes?
Yeah, on the bylaws. So at the February meeting, we had just determined to change the meeting place to Wood Lake. And then, of course, that first meeting in March ended up being just like this one on WebEx. But once we are able to meet in person again, it will be at Wood Lake. And then the other bylaw was to allow for a minimum number of meetings per year, which would be somewhere about 4 scheduled. And the months were September, November, February, and May, with additional meetings either called by the president or any 2 members of the group. So additional meetings would be pretty straightforward to call, or if so, when we end up with the plan for the trip, that would be a time where more meetings would make a lot more sense to make sure everyone's on the same page and we have all those all the plans in place and everyone knows what's going on. So those are the two bylaws that were amended.
And so we should take action on those by motion?
You know, yes, we should. I think what happened was in February we did vote at least on the Wood Lake meeting place one, but those minutes, when James moved, he had been the secretary, and in his move, everything disappeared. So yes, we should take we should do that for sure.
Do you know if some of the kind of traditional Richfield things are going to happen within the next year or two, like the unity in the community? I mean, and PennFest, those things that we've always participated in.
Yep.
If those are coming back and we choose to do them, we would have to have meetings prior to that to make some decisions of.
Yes, and I think the decision to change it from monthly to quarterly was simply so when there was a quieter year like this one, or years that we're not taking a trip, that we would call those meetings when they were needed versus just having them every month. But you're exactly right, and those I do not know if those will be happening next year for sure. I hope they will be. It'll simply be the health professionals' decisions in the city administrators' decisions on those things, and where we're at this year. Of course, they were all canceled.
Yeah.
And with 2 members and the president able to call that special meeting for the months we're not scheduled, that can happen.
Yeah, I thought that was a very, and that's in the bylaws, and I thought that was a very fair requirement. I mean, very reasonable.
Yeah, no, that covers yourself so that if something pops up. So the first one would be a motion that we have our meetings over at Wood Lake. Somebody
Yep.
want to move that?
I'll move for that.
I'll second.
So we got the motion on the second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Passes. All right, now the next one is that we have our scheduled meetings. Yeah, in September, November, February, and May. Do we have a motion to approve that?
Motion.
Okay. Logan has moved that. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion is approved. All right, the next item on the agenda is we don't have a permanent secretary. And that really puts us in a bind because everybody's got an office, but one. So, Paul, if we ask Dwayne or Dave to continue to be our secretary, would that be out of order?
I don't know. I'm not sure. As long as someone is taking notes, they still have to be approved.
Yeah.
I was taking notes the first couple of meetings, or at least the June, meeting, and I would say if he's willing to, we can go with that, and I can double check the bylaws tomorrow and get back to you if it doesn't work. I don't see why it would be a problem.
May I ask who has which position offices right now?
Marty's the chair, and Cynthia's the ambassador. Dave's a historian. I believe Dan, you're the secretary, or
He's the
not
treasurer,
secretary. You're the treasurer.
Treasurer.
and Logan is the vice.
And Logan's the vice.
What would you say about that, Dave, if we made you Yeah, Cecilia, would you be interested?
Sure, I could do it. I mean, I just take notes, right?
Yeah, right. And you just have to get your copy into Paul before
Okay.
the meeting. All right, this is good. Does somebody want to make a motion that we could pick Cecilia as our secretary?
I'll make a motion.
All right. Daniel made the motion. Do we have a second?
I will.
Hogan made the second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign. Congratulations.
Thank
You
you.
are our secretary.
Thank you.
Paul, did you know if you've sent the note out to our other new member that hasn't showed up yet?
Yeah, to Roger Swans, I think is
James.
James. Oh, James Shower. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's on the list, and I've been sending stuff. I'll double check with him.
Yeah.
And double check his contact info. I did hear from Pixie just a few minutes ago that she's been on but hasn't been able to be on video, or she can hear us, but I don't think she can talk to us. And WebEx does have some goofy times where that happens. So I will get a hold of her after the meeting and just give her a sense of what happened, but also help her try to figure that out for next time, because that's really frustrating, because she's been on since 7 but hasn't been fully with us.
Appreciate your working with her to get her online and then see where James is heading. So as you can see on your printed agenda, our next meeting will be November 19th. Unless anything of urgency pops up, we'll call a special meeting. So is there anything else anyone wants to bring forward? Looks like everybody's shaking their heads, so a motion to adjourn would be in order.
A motion.
We have
I'll second.
all those in favor of adjournment, signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming on board. Have a good evening.
It's great to
Everybody.
see everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Be safe.
There was one thing I should mention. Some of you probably knew Rose Ekstrom. She passed away a while ago. And I should mention the mention before now. Friend Rose. And I'm
Dave, can you repeat that? We couldn't hear it.
wanted to mention that we lost our friend Rose Ekstrom that's been on several trips with us. So I should pass it.
Sorry, we still can't hear you.
You're kind of garbled.
Okay. Later.
Have a good evening. And ladies.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.